Okay, everyone, this is Brandon from Galaxy Doc Market. I am bringing forth to you my weekly market analysis, and the title is Profitable Stock Market Trading Secrets that I will reveal to you on this video for the upcoming trading week, June 3rd to June 7th, 2024. Here is the disclaimer. Pause it, read it. If you agree, please move forward. And here is my shameless plug about our X.com, Galaxy Doc Market. Please follow us. There's a lot of great commentaries and the information that we share that is not available on YouTube. Okay, so as I always start this, and I'm going to try to keep it brief, and which means keep it under 30 minutes, right? And what's going on in the news? What are they doing instead of trying to get us to listen to what they're telling us? Okay, so what they're doing right now, this is from Sunday, today at 11:35 a.m. And of course, they're telling you it has nothing to do with the world events as we're selling arms to Ukraine and getting involved in all kinds of geopolitical events overseas. Two unarmed Minuteman III ICBMs are slated for launch next week, and they're telling us that this is routine, and it may very well be. But like I always say, look at what they do, not what they tell you to do. Okay, and what they're doing right now, to me, sounds like gearing up for war. And the previous couple of weeks worth of gold and silver price action, along with Bitcoin. Remember, Bitcoin is also not correlated with the markets. This is a inflationary and geopolitical stability hedge. Okay, so it is a digital gold, in my opinion, and that's the way we're going to follow it. The next thing, what happens next is OPEC agrees to extend collective output cuts until end of 2025. And so what that means is because there is consumer demand destruction, and I've told you that oil goes into everything. If the world economy was great, then oil should be going higher instead of going lower. Okay, this is the early start of kind of the deflationary events that may be happening in the short term. I mean, not short term, but in the long term. That you're going to see. Rising oil is highly inflationary, but it is also good for the stock market. So let's see if this agreement creates a little bit of a boost maybe earlier in the week. Higher oil is higher stock market at the moment, but it is right now kind of a mixed bag because higher oil is also highly inflationary for the consumers who are dying right now. The middle class is dying because of this runaway inflation, which I believe sometimes it's by design. So is Ukraine going rogue, or did it attack Russia's early warning system with, this is the important part, American approval? Okay. What does that even matter? But this is an opinion, is that as Ukraine continues to get desperate, you can't really, I don't really know what's going on in Ukraine, to tell you the truth. All I know is that it doesn't seem like it's going well when you kind of actually see what they're doing, not what they're trying to tell you, right? And so Russia's answer to this question, okay, what is Russia going to do? They've been, so far just in Ukraine doing their thing, obviously. Again, we don't know what's going on over there other than what the mainstream media tells us, and they don't tell us much of anything. So you got to kind of do your own due diligence. Is there going to be some form of escalation in war front? Okay. And then the other thing is, if you follow my Twitter or X.com, I've been posting and reposting a lot of pertinent information as it relates to China's recent military exercise surrounding the Taiwanese island. And, this is where the mainstream media or the powers that be don't want you to be paying attention to, but there is something going on over there. Okay, now the issue is, what if China and Taiwan conflict? What would it mean for semiconductors? And this is why I think the NVIDIA's and the SMH, which is the VanEck semiconductor index, has been just going parabolic, right, under the auspices of AI. But I've also warned you about these large-sized stock splits that NVIDIA and Chipotle, and among others, that have recently announced could also be signaling a top. And we'll go over that opinion later. But what would a shutdown do? I mean, we just had news that the U.S. government may prohibit sales of AI chips to Middle East, and then you know what that did very quickly to NVIDIA, which is now priced for perfection, and it's been going parabolic. And I think this is something that you need to pay attention to, because NVIDIA is vulnerable to any cutbacks or political bans, okay, by any countries, whether it's war or by political sanctions. Okay, that's very, very important for us to understand. And then, of course, what they're telling us is that General Dynamics is, their new 155 millimeter, artillery shell factory opens again as war cycle kicks into high gear, right? So, they're working towards peace, right? And yet, as the country is more broke, and just like in the previous historical things that you can find, Rome had perpetual wars for the same reason that America does, in my opinion. And so this is something that we need to pay attention to, is that, are the world, why is this rhetoric towards war going on, right? And what is that going to mean for the economy, for that matter, right? So again, listen to what they do and not what they say. This is significant. And as the stock market is near all-time highs, NVIDIA, basically pulled back a little bit last week, and I warned you about that. And, is that going to be continuing? And what is the prospect of war going to happen? And then the other thing is, one of the things that continues to reaffirm what's happening with gold and silver prices is that Louisiana reaffirms gold and silver as legal tender as, more and more people wake up to the fact that we're just printing money out of thin air. This fiat money system and fractional reserve banking may not be what it's cracked up to be. And this is probably the reason why gold and silver is also escalating. Just pay attention. Do you have gold? Okay. I mean, it's serious. Now, I've posted this. This is one of my examples at thex.com. And I pointed this out not yesterday, on Friday, as the market was opening. And then I said, are we, it's portending more bearishness for NVIDIA, right? That's a bearish candle formation, okay, after going parabolic. So is this the split phenomenon that we've been talking about? Watch last week's video on mega splits and market tops. I made a video on that, folks. And please, if you haven't seen it, go watch that. And then does this mean that there's going to be further downside? We don't know yet. But I do believe that you got to obey this particular weekly candle pattern. And we'll go over that in a bit. Guys, consumer demand destruction continues, but the stocks in this sector will not go down in a straight line. And if you haven't seen some of my opinions on some of these most beaten down consumer discretionary stocks like Lululemon, which we'll go over in a bit, and they do report earnings this coming week on June 5th, okay? They don't go down in a straight line, folks, and these are what I'm looking for, on the rips and a stall, and then you can reload, okay? But there will be a lot of rip your face off rallies where people are going to be confounded, okay? How can the stock market be going, or stocks go that was going down, all of a sudden have a rip your face off rally? I'm going to show you how they do that shortly, but one of the issues is going to be in Lululemon. So let's get right into this and then see what is our directional indicator telling us. It's telling us a lot of stuff, right? I said last week that, hey, look, we're forming this formation, but we need a MACD confirmation, and we got one on Friday. We have a death cross right into that area, and now we're entering into this volatility zone, right? And so we're resting right on this 200-day moving average, which is this red line, and also coinciding with this trend line that's formed from here all the way down, right? We got this trend line formation. If we break that, it will go down. Okay, now markets do not go down in a straight line, but this MSI, McClellan Summation Index indicator that we follow and the way we use proprietarily at Galaxy Stock Market is telling us the time has come. And I'm a little torn about this because I know we're running out of time on our 2020 market sell-off analog or market crash analog, but we have a full confirmation to the downside. And then given the fact that on Friday, we'll go over this, all the major indices and stocks basically ramped higher in the last 30 minutes, right? If you haven't seen that. And that was very, very obvious that it was going to happen. And we'll go over that situation also. But MSI, every time I ignore this indicator, which is one of my biggest directional indicators, when it shows you this sign, you have to pay attention. Every time I ignore it, I regret it dearly. Okay, real quick, on the put to call ratio, this line channel that it's been trading out of, it broke out, and of course it's going to pull back. Okay, this pullback all came within that Friday's last 30 minutes of pump job that occurred about an hour or so. And again, they were telegraphing this, and we'll tell you why that happened, why Galaxy Stock Market was prepared for that. Okay, seriously. So put to call ratio broke out of the trading range. The moment of truth is coming. Are we going to find support? Or are we going to go right back into there? Okay, are we going to come right back in there and then bounce again higher? Or are we just going to go down in this fashion? Remember, summer months tend to be low volume, low volatility, grind higher months. Okay, but it may not be. It may be different this time. Okay, who knows? Okay, my MSI and my put to call ratio indicators are telling us that there's some more downside coming potentially. And then, of course, the fear and greed indicator, okay? Not maybe a few weeks ago, we were back into the greed area. We're back in neutral. This means that the retail and the powers that be are even more bearish going in. Now, we're not in this extreme fear or the high fear level, which is an area where there may be a change in direction. But this is telling you that, we may continue to grind down lower potentially. Okay, so why did I put this bulls on my thumbnail? Because part of me is bullish. I think there are certain discretionary stocks that have been beaten down. That the PPO ADX indicator, which I'm going to talk about, is telling you there's a bounce that's coming, a big bounce, not a small one, but a big bounce that's coming. But when we look at these fear and greed indicator as a whole, this market is telling you that it has potential to go down lower. So fear and greed is coinciding with MSI negative directional confirmation. That's what we're talking about. Then something hit me. There is some sector rotation going on, right? And that's the question I was asking. If you look at these downtrends that are forming, for example, SPY is below that downtrend. XLY, which is the discretionary, is going into that downtrend, right? XLC, which is the communications, didn't break out, right? And then, of course, the technology is way below that downtrending line, right? And then look at it finally. I think the XLF sector may be turning as long as it doesn't break out next week. So pay attention to these sectors right here. Okay, SPY, XLY failed to break out. However, when you look at the following, industrials, of course, they're defensive, broke out of the trend line. XLB, building materials, broke out of the trend line. And energy, watch energy, guys, it's breaking out. Consumer staples, these are not discretionaries. These are like grocery stores and things that people need to survive. You know, the defensive stock like Procter and Gamble's and the ConAgras, okay? Healthcare sector is beginning to break back out. Okay, utilities defensive, they're breaking out. That's not a surprise. And then real estate of all things. Keep an eye on these sectors. If you're looking for some bullish sectors, this is the ones. These are the sectors that you need to be looking at right here, right now. Okay. And then if you're bearish and you want to look for intraday to weekly, bearish opportunities, as long as they don't break back out above, anything's possible. These are the sectors, okay? I'm not going to spend too much time in showing you the grouping and the scooter analysis, but it's important. Let's go into the technical analysis then, shall we? Okay, so let's start really quickly with the VIX, okay? Real simple, okay? So a lot of people are saying that, VIX... I've been telling you that VIX was going to break out, and we did. We hit right over the 200-day moving average, and we pulled back. And pullbacks are necessary components. The question is, this trend line right here, is it going to find support, or are we pulling back more and then bounce? Okay, it has to get over this overhead resistance for it to go higher. Now, again, I'm on the record. I'm getting ready for the summer rally. Okay, but my MSI, my put to call ratio, and several other indicators are telling me that there's more leg to this downside, especially on fear and greed indicator. I know it's not a very big, broad one, but it should be based on Friday's close that it should be out of this neutral zone. We're almost near the fear zone. So that tells me that there should be a little bit more sell-off coming along the way. But this VIX pulling back was very, very mechanical into the close. Okay, if you guys think that this market, stock market or otherwise, is not a controlled Federal Reserve Bank or central bank's experiment, you're fooling yourselves. The sooner you understand that basically this market is managed, then the better you're going to be able to make money. Okay, so on the MACD, we're basically positive above. We're still in the negative territory, but if we're have a positive momentum. Okay, yeah, I would probably ignore the fact that it's trying to form that little hook over there. The other thing is we're way above on CCI. Okay, we just pulled back from the very bullish area, which is what we should be doing, because it basically popped out from this area, which I told you, and a lot of you that listen made a bunch of money doing this. Okay, now on the stochastics, again, it's telling us we're may see a little pullback. Maybe it won't. We may see this little pullback forming here and then popping right out. However, when we look at our PPO ADX, it's making this bullish. When you see these formation, again, these are covered in our course and in our mentorship classes. And it's bullish right now. So that means even on this pullback, VIX is going higher. Okay, let me move on to TNX. Okay, so 10-year Treasury tried to break out above this overhead resistance, and we pulled back right to support. This green area is 80 MA. Okay, it's a natural thing. If it doesn't go, you can't break above here, it's going to pull back and then try to push higher. So keep an eye on this 10-year Treasury. The Fed needs to keep this thing at 42.5. We are now around, 44, 45-ish. Okay, that's not a good sign. This is a rising yield. It means people are dumping our U.S. Treasuries. Let's move on to the next one. U.S. dollar. Okay, rising dollar is negative for the markets. And basically, we pulled back and then started finding support off of this, the 20 SMA. Okay, that's kind of like, the magnetic areas in which it starts to gravitate to. And it's just in a chopping range right now, right? If it breaks out higher, you can kiss this market goodbye, right? So expect some intervention, expect something, because the rest of the world is devaluing their currency against the US dollar. And it's a race to zero. Whoever gets to zero first wins, I think, in this scenario, right? Gold. I mentioned this. Gold had, I mentioned this on X.com. It looks like it's forming a kind of a cup and a handle formation. Let's see if we get to start breaking out above this 2450 level and higher, okay? And what that's going to do is it's going to be prevalent, dependent on some geopolitical tensions, as well as the fact that most of the central banks are stocking up on gold. But the biggest one is silver. Yes, silver pulled back after a torrid run. Okay, I told you we're going to be in a phase 3. It's normal after completing each phase to pull back to support. And this is kind of the support, this R2 daily pivot level. If you want to, Stock Charts has wonderful stuff. I mean, they don't pay me, but I mean, this automatic pivots are really, really beneficial and they work. And so it's pulling back to this R2. Let's see if next week we chop around here and then start breaking out higher. We are looking for that phase 4 alpha breakout. Okay, when that happens, of course, there's going to be some geopolitical things that's going to be causing that. Now, let's go into Lulu. I may do another video on Lulu as it's ahead of the earnings. And you've seen me talk about how the fact that we were getting into Lulu right about here on the long side, okay? I'm not always bearish, guys. Since then, the RSI is positive. It's directionally positive, and it's doing great things, right? Volume is somewhat increasing. The ADMA is curling higher. Those are all positive things for us to look at, okay? So let's look at what else is going on. Look at MACD. MACD is histogram is bullish, and then we don't have the signal yet, but MACD crossover is imminent. CCI is already telling you it's going to go positively directional. Stochastic has crossed higher. These are, guys, there's still time on this Lulu, okay? And this is I can't be any more bullish about this. And on the PPO ADX, man, this is my bread and butter. Crush indicator is telling you that as soon as these crushes and goes down, it's going to break out. Okay, so that's on the daily. Okay, so not financial advice. Do your own research, but this will give you some ideas. On the weekly, okay, folks. All right, we found support right here. support right into that area. Okay. After earnings, it is very possible for us to pop above these levels right into this back to the pivot, which is like about 450 to 439 level. All right. If you don't think that can happen, well, then you need to learn about how stocks move, right? I mean, I don't know what else to say. MACD, okay, histogram is going positive. We have CCI that's going positive. We have stochastics that's basically on the weekly, just working off its little negative divergence. But oh my goodness gracious, even on the weekly, I mean, this is about, they're ready to kiss each other, okay? This is what I call the crush on PPO ADX, all right? So we're bullish on Lulu. And if you want to find out about what we're doing with that, email me. I'll give you the email description at the end of this, or go to our website, or click on this profile on this video and find out how to get together with us, because this is going to be a huge trade, folks. And then let's look at NVIDIA. Okay, so NVIDIA found some support, okay, but everything is going negatively divergent, right? Found support at 80 EMA. Well, not a surprise. We expected that to stop, but also it's holiday shortened week last week. The question is, are they going to be busting out from here? It may pop a little. If it stalls here, that's a short all day long, folks. All right. You know what I think about these big, huge stock splits, right? So, but there's divergences everywhere. MACD histogram is negatively divergent. CCI is negatively divergent. Stochastics is at the, over extreme level, and it's crossed over, right? See this thing right here? And then, of course, on PPO ADX, it's beginning to form this bearish crossover. We're waiting for the ADX to cross over, but we're very close. Remember, this is on the daily, all right? Any type of bounces, okay, within reason, okay, should be looked at potentially with, NVIDIA got away. It got way ahead of everything. There should be a pullback. And then, of course, we have some divergence forming on the accumulation. And then on the ATR, look at this. We're at the extreme range. Remember what I said about ATR? ATRs can be used to not only look for kind of the range, average true range, but it's also momentum and direction. If it starts to cross down from here, from this area, okay, that's going to tell you that it's crossing down from its upward momentum. Pay attention, folks. This is how we trade over here. Okay, NVIDIA on the weekly. Okay, I pointed this out on x.com, right? Is that a reversal sign? Okay, and everything else is pointing to such. Okay, and so I may have to do a full in-depth thing on NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA on weekly, I mean, yes, it was bearish. And it's still within that bearish confirmation. As long as this line doesn't break up higher, then we're looking at something like this, okay? But still, that's all going to be bearish, right? So PPO ADX is bearish on the weekly also, okay? Now, a lot of my traders and people that are asking me about, what are we going to do about Dell, right? Why did I not mention it? Because I don't like Dell. Okay, I'm going on the record. However, Dell got way ahead of itself. It's just a PC box manufacturer. They really haven't been able to break into the server space. And then everybody thinks this is somehow an AI space play. But here's basically what I want to say is that, they sold to you. All right. All they did was probably sell a bunch of stocks for their continuing operation. But there may be a opportunity for this continuation, because we have the ADMA curling back down. This was a big confirmed sell-off. So we have some range here. So we should be watching Dell now that they've reported earning, and it was very bad. We have some death hook forming on the MACD. CCI is negative. They're all negatively divergent. Okay. PPO ADX, if you look at it, is actually forming this bearish formation. So there's a lot of meat left on this bone. This should be no more than a $15 stock fundamentally. And then Restoration Hardware. When the hell are they going to actually start reporting earnings, folks? All right. I'm not sure. Okay. It's been, they keep saying it's tentative. So are they going to keep pushing it up into this area? Are they going to report on the 6th? Now, this time that's what they're saying. But on the daily, on the Restoration Hardware, it looks like it may be forming some positive divergences that may all change after they report earnings. Question is, why are they not reporting earnings on time? Keep an eye on this one, folks. And we're accumulating some positions on this RH. Okay, but obviously until and unless they report earnings, and I think they've been saying they were reporting earnings for almost a month and a half, right? All right, are they going to get a Wells notice? Who knows? Let's look at really quick on the indexes, because this is why you came here for. On the indices, on the SPY, okay, finally we went into this volatility zone and then we bounced, and everybody's saying, well, that's a sign that it's bullish, right? It's bullish. It's just gonna reverse, and I agree. We may just end up bouncing higher here, but my MSI and put to call ratio, our PPO ADX, and everything else is telling otherwise. But also remember, last week was Memorial Day, shortened week. Okay, they tend to be bullish, and this was coming because early in the morning I put out an X.com post. Go there and check it out. I said, hey, the dollar, if it starts to stay here, it's pretending that there may be a rally. And then of course I said, well, if it pops, or they do it early in the morning, then wait for the stall and then short it. But they waited until the end of the day. They sold it off all day long, right? Because the dollar and TNX started rising, and then it bounced higher. Okay, we were ready for this, and I'm not gonna tell you, but a lot of us did on the ES and the SPY calls and puts, and even on NVIDIA bounces. We were actually hedged calls into the close, but believe it or not, folks. All right. So what is going on with SPY? Well, SPY is running smack dab into this 80 MA. The question is, are they going higher? Or are they going to come back down? There's now that the full volume is going to be coming upon us, and the McClellan Summation Index is fully directional. I'm beginning to think that there may be a potential for a sharp sell-off still. Okay, I know it's hard to believe, but we'll be ready for the long side. But right now we got to obey the fact that PPO ADX is negative here. Okay, this is negatively divergent. And then on the weekly, obviously we had this red candle, but it really did nothing all week. Okay, so don't pay too much attention to, oh man, it's a hammer up bullish reversal off of this support here. It may or may not be. Okay, I'm looking for a bullishness sometime in June too, but you got to obey all your indicators, and obey the things that got you here. Okay, but everything is negatively divergent. Volume is declining. We have the MACD that's histogram is positive. Question is it going to cross over? Is it going to start coming back down? CCI is telling us that it's negatively divergent. Stochastics is ready to roll over here. And then when you look at the PPO ADX, yeah, it's just a little non-confirmatory. When you see me drawing these little tiny things, it's basically, well, this was bearish. Now is that going to be bullish? And now it's basically turning back down. So is it doing one of these again? And that's bearish right there. And then of course we're at the top end for this for the accumulation distribution. And then of course SPY has been bullish. It's at the near end of the range, but we're ATR is down at the bottom, right? If it starts to turn up, that means that there's a price expansion that's happening and the directional change is coming upon us. So that's basically our SPY. And then you want to look at QQQ, same stuff, right? Looks bullish as hell, right? This is about as bullish it goes, unless you have negative divergence in the RSI. This was Memorial Day weekend, okay, right? Memorial Day weekend. Okay, so is this a reversal, and then it's going to go higher and then break out into all-time highs? I think that move is probably coming. But obviously we got to pay attention to this. Okay, was it shenanigans? Is it going to be a big bull trap? Is MSI wrong this time? It's never been wrong, folks. All right. And so it just found support right off of, ironically, this trend line that's right here. You got to obey all the trend lines. But we have MACD that's crossing lower. Everything is negatively divergent on QQQ as well. It shows better than SPY, right? CCI is negatively divergent. Stochastics is telling you that it's not only divergent, but it's actually directional at this point. Our PPO ADX crush indicator is showing with these, right here. Okay, that's negative. That's a negative sign saying that this stock is ready to roll over, contrary to what you think right now. Okay, so what gives? We're going to trust our indicators. We're going to be very vigilant. We'll be very careful and patient, but it's telling us that it's going lower. Look at QQQ on the on the weekly, it's more pronounced here because I think the techs are beginning to sell off, and it's more pronounced. Okay, negatively divergent on RSI. We hit the upper end of the Bollinger Band, came back in. We couldn't break out above the previous week's candle, and we pulled back, even though it recovered the last 30 minutes. I think that's some shenanigans, don't you think? I think there's going to be more downside coming here. Okay, we look at the MACD, it's negative, right? I mean, there's no doubt about that. But the histogram is saying that it's positive. But what if it basically starts to falter out like it's showing right here? And then it starts to get directional. CCI is negatively divergent. Stochastics is negatively divergent. And it may be forming some form of crossover. Again, this looks like a bearish formation on the PPO ADX, right? This looks bearish, right? But a lot of people are saying, well, this looks bullish, right? But then it's turning over. So it isn't conclusive, but I think we're going to get some answers. We have some significant things coming up this week. Again, it's at the lower end. QQQ is at the near all-time highs. If this breaks out higher, then that's going to signal a directional change, folks. All right. So that's kind of what we have right now. I do want to finish off with that there is going to be some significant important not earnings, but economic data to watch. Consumer spending is going to be important tomorrow. ISM manufacturing index, it comes out at 10, not so much, but it's still important to watch. JOLTS is going to be important on Tuesday at 10 a.m. And then ADP employment report, very important, right? The services index may be important, okay, but not as important as ADP. And then we got the jobless claims, big one, big, huge jobless claims at 8:30 a.m. as long as they don't rig those numbers. But the biggest one is probably this 10-year and 30-year bond auction. Pay attention. It comes out at 11 a.m. Okay, and if you wonder why the market might be ripping higher, all of a sudden dropping, it's because of this report. I don't think there's anybody else buying our bonds other than the people that issue them. Okay. And then, of course, non-farm employment situation is going to be important. But the biggest one is next week, folks. We have CPI and FOMC all on the same day. Okay. On June 12th, 2024. That is going to determine the next direction. Now, if we sell off, okay, because the indicators are telling us that it is going to sell off, then it may be one of those things where this may start off, with a bang in terms of the summer rally that I'm anticipating. So pay attention to this, folks. Okay, I think it may be very bullish, maybe going in. Here's the keys to next week. It's summary. MSI is directional, despite my disbelief. We're running out of time. I know we're going to obey that MACD confirmation on the MSI. This is confounding because we are running out of time for the sell-off thesis, but I don't care. We're going to trust what got us successful. Fear and greed index has become more fearful this week. Key economic indicators to watch. We just discussed that. Pay close attention to the bond and treasury auctions. I already told you 10 and 30 year, that's going to move the markets. Okay. And so maybe that's what the McClellan summation index and our PPO ADX crush indicators and put to call ratios and our fear and greed indicators are all telling us. I warned about the Memorial Day short market chop. I told you it's just going to basically be a nothing burger week. And they did, albeit they did it at the last 30 minutes to an hour. Okay. But you got to respect the fact that this market is managed, right? So the week ended largely unchanged. Just forget about those long bullish tail candles that they formed. They want you to think that. I think they will drop the markets based on my indicators. We have to trust it. I have a hard time right now of trusting it either, but I have to trust it. Consumer demand destruction is real, but it does not mean that the stocks will go down lower. We talked about Lulu, right? And then the other thing is pay attention to these sectors that are basically have not able to be breaking out on Memorial Day weekend. This is a leadership change. Notably, XLF, which has been going gangbusters, and basically XLK, which is the technology, okay? Watching the VIX pullback. Are they going to find support and start going higher? Maybe. You got to watch the gold and silver this week. Here's the watch list: TLT, Bitcoin, silver, gold, okay? NVIDIA, TSM, SMH, XLF, JP Morgan, CMA. Watch CMA, Comerica, Lulu, and RH. When is RH going to report earnings? Okay. I mean, how long is it going to be tentative? Okay. I've never seen them do this before. Okay. Earnings are on Dollar Tree that you want to watch. Lulu, I think they're going to be bullish. Five Below, Crowd, and Zoomies. They could go both ways, right? Because they are, a lot of the stocks have been sold off. But these three, I'm pretty sure, may still have some legs to the downside. And then Restoration Hardware, when are you going to report earnings? In other words, be patient, follow your indicators, and heed the warning sign from my McClellan Submission Index, okay? Now, thank you for watching. Follow us on x.com, Galaxy Doc Market, okay? Thank you for subscribers, okay? I mean, we have more than 926. I think we're at like, I don't know. I mean, we're at like, I don't know, like 1,200 right now, okay? Thank you for subscribing, folks. Like us, share us, okay? Get the word out. I mean, I think I give out good content here. If you want to learn about working with me, email me here or go visit my website, okay, and schedule a consultation, okay? Otherwise, be careful out there, but I think some significant things are going to happen. Heed that MSI, okay? I know, it's hard to believe, but we got to follow our directions, okay? Subscribe and let's go chase some alpha. Bye-bye.